G'day trendsetters, John with Gravel Cyclist. I'm coming to you today from the far north in my home state of South Australia in the Flinders Ranges, right on the edge of the Australian outback. And I've got my first bike review of 2020 with the T-Lab X3 all-terrain gravel bike, handmade in beautiful Montreal, Québec, Canada. The biggest changes are new geometry designed to help mitigate the worst of the roughest terrain and improve tyre clearance, namely for 650B by 51mm or just over 2 inches and 700C by 44mm. Additional improvements include a future-friendly design, namely the replaceable rear dropouts, so they should ideally cater to any future standard that might be coming down the pipeline later on. The bike also includes a number of new mounting options, namely for fenders and racks, and on the all-carbon tapered fork, there are a ton of mounting options for cages and what have you. For me, this bike continues to be a standout in terms of its looks, namely the flattened and tapered tubes. This is a really unique bike, and in the world of titanium, this one breaks from the tradition of rounded tubes.
T-Lab built the X3 from seamless grade 9 3AL-2.5V titanium, which is cold work to optimize the stiffness to weight ratio in the frame, but without affecting the sweet riding characteristics of titanium. It is important to mention this is a size small X3, which measures 54 centimeters on the top tube, absolutely perfect for me. T-Lab can also go full custom if you desire. The good folks at T-Lab kindly spec'd the X3 with Shimano's latest and greatest group set, Shimano GRX. The Di2 version is built specifically for the rigours of gravel. I will be posting my long-term review of this group set soon, and remember, I don't test stuff for a week or two and call it a review. I ride the absolute crap out of it. In a nutshell, I rode the T-Lab with the GRX 4831 crank set and a mix of 11 to 32 and 11 to 34 Ultegra level cassettes. Being a 2x fan, you'll notice the GRX Di2 front derailleur and matching rear derailleur, which features a mechanical clutch you can turn on and off. The hydraulic brake housings are internalised through the fork and on the frame, halfway until they exit just above the bottom bracket. For the cockpit parts, I'm a bit of a traditionalist and don't particularly enjoy flared handlebars, barring one or two exceptions. Thus, a Ritchie WCS compact drop handlebar in 42 centimeters is great for me, matched to a 110mm WCS stem. I believe the seat post is a physique model of some kind, and the Di2 battery is tucked away inside. All of these are excellent components, without any gimmicks or wanky marketing. My saddle of choice for the review was the excellent Ergon SR Men's Pro. Finally, the X3 came without wheels, but that gave me the opportunity to be flexible. So, I rode the bike with Envy's brilliant G23 wheel set, shod with Panaresa Gravel King SK tyres in 700C by 38mm, and the equally brilliant Zentis Kappa 2 650B wheel set, shod with WTB Resolute tyres in 650B by 42mm. You can see reviews of these goodies I mentioned linked in the description below.
That's the features covered of the T-Lab X3 all-terrain titanium gravel bike. How does it ride?
Where possible, I like to race review bikes because unlike a pleasant training ride, you cannot always pick the perfect line. After a lengthy spell during December 2019 and January 2020 in Australia, where I rode the T-Lab exclusively, my first event back just days after my arrival was the tour of the Quilt Country, which is mostly a super fast ride / borderline race, not so perfect for a bloke like me who had jet-lagged legs. Remember, good cyclists always have a ton of good excuses. Those issues aside, I focused more on suffering and surviving the ride versus worrying about the bike, which was shod with the Zentis wheels I mentioned earlier. The X3 was an absolute rocket, and the only handicap was yours truly. However, I survived stage 1 of the ride without getting dropped before calling it a day. The X3 rode like an absolute dream, a comfy ride over the potholes and stuff that frequent this course, combined with excellent handling characteristics. Now on to Australia, which is where I rode this bike for 5 weeks. I pre-rode the Grindr Australia course in the Australian Alps on the X3, and whilst a mountain bike would have suited some parts of the course, the X3 lapped it up. This course featured technical descending, single track, and a ton of climbing. I love how this bike handles on descents. It is akin to a high-performance road bike that is very stable and predictable, not twitchy, and very forgiving. Even on the worst of the descents, the bike's titanium frame and carbon fork with appropriate tyre pressure set tracks so well, and the resilient nature and comfy ride quality of the titanium frame will not pound the crap out of you. I had no worries letting this bike run free at speeds going well over 40 miles an hour or 65 kilometers an hour. The PF386 bottom bracket junction is plenty stiff to deal with my modest amount of power output. I have no way of identifying deflection and so on, but if you make your best effort to stand on the pedals whilst the bike is stationary and flex the bottom bracket, it isn't going to move very much. So that means your power is going to transmit nicely into the drivetrain. That's especially important when you're climbing, which this bike loves to do, in or out of the saddle. The X3's chainstays measure 426 millimeters on all sizes, which are long enough to ensure good tyre clearance, but not overly long enough to negate snappy acceleration. In fact, here are some scenes from the 2020 Doc Hollywood Invitational in Micanopy, Florida, where I was one of 2 people riding a gravel bike. I ultimately got my ass kicked due to dodgy fitness, but this bike with slick tyres can easily hang on a fast roadie type ride. T-Lab have made considerable improvements over the original X3, which I reviewed in 2018, which in itself was a very sweet bike. They also offer improved finishing options such as raw tie and several painted finishes. This colorway is one of their more standard painted offerings, and no matter your thoughts on painted titanium frames, I reckon it's beautiful. This bike has received compliments no matter where I rode it. It simply exudes class and a feeling of speed. And if you feel fast, you're probably going to ride fast, whether that be on gravel, hard pack, or smooth pavement. The X3 can do it all. The X3 has a decent amount of attachment options if racks, fenders, and mounts on the fork are your thing. But if I have to nitpick, there are 2 small details that I would like to see changed. I don't know if it's technically possible with a shaped top tube. I would like to see a Bento Box mount. That is super handy. The non-drive side dropout and brake mount isn't my favourite thing, only because aligning the rear disc brake caliper is a bit fiddly. There's a regular Allen key fixing bolt as you would expect, and one you have to adjust using a wrench. It's not the easiest thing to do, and it's usually set and forget. Additionally, I understand the dropouts are future-proofed, but the non-drive side dropout and brake mount isn't the best to look at. In summary, the T-Lab X3 is a high-performance titanium gravel bike that improves upon the original and really sets itself apart from just about every other titanium gravel bike on the market today. I absolutely love how it looks. The shaped tubes really float my boat. The X3 is handmade in Montreal, Québec, Canada, available in stock or custom sizes, various finishes, and with complete bikes starting at around US $4,000 is very well priced. For some manufacturers, you cannot even get a frame for this price. You can check out more of T-Lab at their website, which I've overlaid and linked in the description below.
So there you have it, the T-Lab X3 all-terrain titanium adventure bike. I hope you found my review to be somewhat helpful and insightful. I realise there's a plethora of gravel bikes available on the market today, so I hope this review helped you make an informed purchase decision. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Gravel Cyclist YouTube channel, and don't forget to click the bell button to be notified of future videos as they appear on the channel. I'll see you in the next video.